Save soil, why am I on this this kind of a trip? Last 30 years, I've been talking about soil in so many different ways. Everybody appreciates, everybody says it's great. They clap their hands and they go and sleep on it. In the last 2 years, I've met agricultural ministries from various nations across the world, and as I went about meeting elected officials, bureaucrats, scientists all over the world, what I realized was everybody knows what's the problem and everybody knows what is the general direction of the solution. But everybody, it looks like they've been waiting uh, for an idiot to bell the cat. So I thought, here I am. Really, that's all it is. Because everybody knows the problem, how serious and dire it is. But still, somehow we learn to sleep through it. Because we think grieving over a disaster is an option. Mitigating the disaster is the most important thing, not grieving over it. But this has become a habit in the world, walk into disasters and then cry over it. Since early 20th century, how many wars have we fought in this world? Every time after a big war is over, we say, this is it, never again there's going to be another war. World War I, World War II and many other every few years. Now we're talking about number 3 as if it's a natural progression of life. 1, 2, 3 has to come. But our competence, our capabilities, our ability to destroy has grown so immensely. If we ever walk into another situation like that, well, walking out of that is not going to be pretty at all. Wars are one thing, but what we have forgotten is just 60 to 70 years ago, there were famines across the world. It's only in the last 75 years we have not seen a famine. In 1942, well, I'm saying this because most of you are of Indian origin, in 1942, the famine in India took 3.2 million people. In 4 months, 3.2 million people died. I want you to understand, famine is the worst way to kill people. If you drop a bomb, it's over. This is not like that, this is a slow fade. 3 to 4 months people die slowly, losing their all sense of humanity. This was a common occurrence a century ago all over the world. It used to happen every few years. But today, the world is more organized, more competent, more technologically competent, everything. Like never before, we are organized. But once again, we are driving into famines. This year, it is expected at least 6 nations are going into serious famine conditions. Last year, World Food Programme spent $9 billion distributing food. This year, they're asking for $15 billion. They're saying 2023, they need $22 billion. How long do you think you can run whole populations distributing food from elsewhere? Food has to grow where people are. For this, soil has to be of some strength. When we say soil has to be of some strength, to call soil as soil, a minimum of 3 to 6% organic content should be there. The most minimum is 3. But not a single nation, not even a single nation on this planet has an average 3% organic content in its soil. So it's a global issue, all of us are driving towards it, not any given one nation. The Northern Europe has the highest soil organic content average, which is 1.48%. Southern Europe has 1.1 to 1.2%. United States has 1.25 to 1.3%. Africa has 0.3% as an average. India has 0.68%. So what's our plan? We're just driving towards this. Why did such a thing happen? For you to understand the genesis of it so that you understand how simplistic we are in our approach. See, there are only two sources of organic content on this planet or in this universe. Nowhere in the known universe there is any other source of organic content other than plant life and animal life. Hello? You understand what I'm saying? It's only plant life and animal life. There is no other way. I'm insisting on this because everybody thinks there is some technology to generate… they say we will print an apple in the 3D printer. Even if you want to print it, you need organic content. That has to come from the soil. There is simply no other way. So these are the only two sources. Well, in early 20th century, once we got the nitrogenous fertilizers, then we thought this is magic powder because we threw it out there and everything burst out. In such a way, in many parts of India, the yields went up by 300%. So people thought this is magic powder. And this magic powder they started using, and once the yields went up, they're wanting to plow every inch of the land, we removed all the green cover. Just to give you an impression, Kaveri Basin, we have removed 84% of the tree cover in Kaveri Basin in the last 70 years. Ganga Basin, which accounts for 25% of India's land and 33% of India's agriculture region, we have removed 92% of the tree cover. So now there is no organic content. First thing is no trees, and then the machines came in, so animals went out of the farm. No plant life, no animal life, so no organic content. So we went on putting more and more magic powder. Well, it worked for 30, 40 years, 50 years at the most. Afterwards, it is just going down because there is no replacement of organic content. Why organic content means the soil is rich with organisms. First 12 to 15 inches or maximum of 18 inches has zillions and zillions of organisms, millions of species, but they don't have food to eat. Because they don't have food to eat, on an average, according to UNFAO, 27,000 species of organisms are going extinct. At this rate, in another 25 to 40 years' time, there will be a complete collapse of agriculture because there will be not enough microorganisms. First of all, the shocking thing is, nearly 85% of the nations on the planet still treat soil as an inert substance. It is the largest living system in the known universe. There is nowhere in the universe is there something like the earth's topsoil, which is the cream of this planet, which has taken millions of years to create, but we've lost 52% of the topsoil in the last 100 years. And nobody talks about it, that's the best part. I don't think you even heard about it before I started talking about it. Unfortunately, nobody talks about it. You must find out why. I don't want to get into the politics because I want everybody behind this. This cannot be solved without everybody being a part of the solution. So, I thought we need to do something. I don't hold any government office, nor do I represent anything. The only thing I can do, I can stick my life out. So at least that way people will wake up. I said, at least 60% of the people, if they speak, governments will act. Why I'm saying 60% of the people should speak is, see, you elect a government, generally most nations are democratic. You elect a nation, or you elect a government for 4 to 5 year period. Suppose you were the Prime Minister or President of any given nation. If people have given you a mandate for 4 years, would you naturally focus to create some results in 4 years, or would you focus on creating results in 15 to 20 or 25 years, which would you focus on? Please be honest about it. Couriers. That's what every government in the world is doing. Because governments are not there to do something fantastic. Governments are there to fulfill people's mandate. Where is the mandate? Not in a single nation, ever. I'm telling you, not in a single nation in this whole world, ever. 60% of the population has stood up and said, we are concerned about the long-term well-being of our nation or the future of our children. Has anybody expressed? So without people's mandate, how will governments act? Because generally what we have seen is any government thinks little long term, they lose the election next time. Hello? This has been the history of democracy. Yes or no? Little long-term application means they lose the election. So they will always focus on short-term things. So this is a time for the people of the world to stand up and say we are responsible human beings. Because it is not a philosophy, it is not an ideology, it is not a religious teaching or a moral teaching that you want your children to live better than you. It's very intrinsic to you. You're not on talking terms with me? Hello? But right now I want you to understand, you are dismantling the possibility of good life for your children. Yes. Well, an individual person will live good life or not is left to them, we can't fix it. But at least basic parameters must be there. Food, clean water to drink, air to breathe, this much parameters must be there for them to live well. If this itself we take it away, because it is expected by 2050, 90% of the world's soil will be degenerated if you go as we are going right now. By 2045, 40% less food is what we will be producing and our populations will be over 9 billion. Once there are food shortages, your pretension of being civilized will all evaporate. Your very humanity will evaporate, believe me. If half the population in this city have not eaten, do you think there will be law, there will be order, your police can control them? Do you believe that in any country? It's not going to work. But that is where we are driving if we don't do the necessary things right now. Organic activity will be alive in the soil. This is not the best thing, but this is enough to pass on living soil for next generation. If we have real commitment, we must raise it much higher. Minimum is 3%, but not a single nation is at 3% average right now, not a single nation. So what can be done? Simple thing is, we need to give incentives to the farmers to raise it to 3%. If you set up an incentive, if you get your farm to 3% organic content, you will get a certain incentive in 3 years' time. Most farmers will go for it if the incentive is substantial. Next thing is, businesses like you must work to crack this so-called carbon credit. I'm saying, I'm putting on you, because last 7, 8 years, we are trying to get this carbon credit to our farmers who are doing a fantastic job. About nearly 130,000 farmers who have converted into tree-based agriculture and doing a fantastic job of carbon sequestration. We have not been able to crack it. With our best teams, we're going round and round, pillar to post, it is getting more and more complex by the day. I'm asking the business and industry to crack that, because the farmer has to get the next level of incentive in the form of carbon credits. The third one is, right now if you go to the market, your fruits or vegetables are marked as organic. This is just a commercial term. If this apple is organic, what is this one? Is it inorganic, I'm asking? Is there such a thing? Now, measuring how much fertilizer or how much pesticide or whatever else has gone into this is a very, very complex process and it's a lab process. But measuring what is the organic content in the soil is a farm process. Within 10 to 15 minutes, with a solvent, you can find out what is the organic content. Randomly, if you pick up 10 samples, you know what is the organic content of the soil, it will be done on the farm. Unless it is very simple, large-scale solutions will never happen. Every piece of soil going to the lab and coming back is not going to work. It has to happen on the land. So now if my farm has 3% organic content and now this apple that comes out of 3%, if it is marked as 3% organic content, it sits on a separate shelf. We know there is enough science to tell you 3% organic content in the field means what are the extra micronutrients in the apple or the vegetable that comes, and what are the health benefits you have, what are the preventive health benefits you have, and what are the benefits for the nation in terms of number of man-days lost and more healthy and happy populations, more productive and creative populations. All this data is already there, we can relate it to that, but the farmer must benefit in a three-pronged way. One, direct incentive, carbon credit, and in the market it gets a better place. Suppose my farm is 6% organic content, this will sit on a higher shelf. It's up to you, you have to pay a little more to buy this, but instead of eating 5 apples, you can eat 1 apple, it has the same nutrient value. So this needs to happen now. If it doesn't happen, not many people will be in the farming. In India, 63% of India's population right now are farmers. We have done a kind of a survey, what we find is not even 2% of the farmers want their children to become farmers, because it's such a heartbreaking job right now. Nobody wants their children to be farmers, and it is just, unless we make it in such a way, whatever professions draw people to cities, urban centers, like being a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or whatever, unless the farmer earns as much if not more, you will have nobody farming in the next 25, 30 years' time. And that is a very dangerous thing to do, because for the large population that we have, which is still growing in the world, if the food scarcity comes, it'll be an absolute disaster. By 2032 to 2035, it is expected 3.5 billion people will be water-stressed in the world. Because of this, 1 to 1.2 billion people will migrate. When over 1 billion people migrate, it's a human disaster. The level of suffering that people go through when they go through forced migrations, unplanned migrations, especially women and children, they will get the worst when forced migrations happen. When families are dragged through unknown terrains where they don't know the language, they don't have the necessary skills to survive in that new society, the worst exploitation happens to women and children. And we are just sitting and watching this is about to happen. Right now, you must understand, in Africa, in the last 50 years, there have been 30 wars. Out of these 30 wars, 27 wars were fought for the sake of fertile land. And that's where it's going in future. That one thing is the famine conditions, another thing is people will start fighting with each other for fertile lands, things will go out of control. This is not me giving you a doomsday message. Every responsible scientist in the world is clearly pointing in this direction. But we have the privilege of being at this time in the world that though we are facing a great challenge, if we have the necessary commitment, in the next 10 to 15 years, we can make a significant turnaround. And we have to do this now. If you allow another 25 to 40 years, why I'm saying 25 to 40 years is, see, right now it is on a slide. 27,000 species per year are going away and it is on a slide. In the last 70 years, 67% of the vertebrate life on the planet is gone. I want you to get this number straight in your head, what it means. 67% of the vertebrate life on the planet is gone. 82% of the biomass insects are gone. 92% of freshwater aquatic life is gone. What is our plan really? What is the plan for us? Is it a suicide? That's what we're heading for. Oh, what do I care if the insects die? I want you to know this. Who you are right now is a consequence of the life that's happening just beneath your feet. They are not a consequence of you. You are a consequence of that. Without you, they can exist very well. Without them, you will not exist. If all the insects on the planet die today, in the next 4 to 6 years, every life on the planet, including you and me, will be gone. That is how significant role they are playing in our life. If all the worms die today, in the next 2 to 4 years' time, all life on the planet, including you and me, will be gone. If all the microbes die right now, all of us will be gone right now because 60% of your body itself is microbial life. Only 40% of your body has parental genetics, 60% is microbial life. If that dies, we are gone right now. So this is how life is made. Life is not individual. It is just a silly idea in your head that you're individual. If you don't understand what I'm saying, keep your mouth closed and hold your nose like this for 2 minutes. You will understand you are not an individual. Only in some kind of union with the life around you, you can exist. Hello? It is not just in respiration, there is food, there is water. Beyond that, there is a microbial transaction which is simply happening all the time. Without that, your life cannot exist. Your life cannot exist in isolation. It is not made that way. Life is happening as one great phenomena. You're just one manifestation. But now our presence and our footprint has become so large that we can decide whether others can live or not. When we decide others should not live, we have also decided we should not live. That's what it means. That is how life is made. Life is not made separately. So this magic that you call as soil, I call it magic. Some people call it dirt. If it is dirt, we are all dirt bags. Hello? Yes or no? This is a magical material. Even if you sow death, life will sprout out of it. Tell me one more place, somewhere in this universe, you have such a thing, that if you sow death, life will sprout out of it. So, all of us come from the soil, thrive off the soil. When we die, we go back to the soil. But now there is an option, because all of you are in Dubai, you are all wealthy business people, there is an offer from United States, somebody has set up a startup, that if you pay $1.7 million, whenever you die, they will take your body and leave it in the space. Because there is no oxygen out there and there are no microbial life, your body will be in the same condition, it'll not rot. It'll float around forever till somebody picks you up. When the traffic increases, somebody may pick you up, we don't know. I'm saying, if you have not done any damn sensible thing in your life, at least when you die, put back the earth back to earth. Hello? At least that much. One ecosystem activity. So, what can we do, what can we do is always the question. What can we do is right now this. Please understand this. The reason why most of these things don't succeed, there are any number of conventions for climate change, for global warming, for desertification, many. I've just come back from the COP15 in Ivory Coast. The reason why they don't succeed is we are trying to address too many things at a time and it'll draw us into different directions. The only one convention that has been successful among all these UN conventions is the Montreal Protocol, which was about the ozone holes. This is the only thing we have successfully reversed in a matter of 8 to 12 years' time. All others, I'm not saying they have not done anything, they're doing something, but before the solution comes, the problem multiplies. The multiplication of the problem is much faster, at a higher pace than at what pace the solution moves. That is no good. That is no good. When the problem is growing faster than the solution, it is no good. If a solution has to happen, we need to isolate soil. There are many problems. I am not saying other problems are not important, they are also very significant. This is like this. Right now, my little finger is paining badly. Is it important that I fix it? Hello? Yes. Not my little finger alone, my ear is paining very badly. It is not, I'm just telling you. My ear is paining very badly. So a little finger doctor came, ear doctor came. And then somebody says there could be some problem with my liver. The liver doctor came, all of them about to attend to me. Then I just realized that I have some other ailment within me with which I could die within the next month or two. Tell me which should we attend to first? You know the answer. Right now, that is the situation. There are many problems, I'm not saying they don't exist. They all exist. They need to be attended to. But if the soil dies, because I want you to understand today UN agencies are using the word soil extinction. Extinction means you thought a dinosaur or a dodo. But we are talking about soil extinction. If the soil becomes extinct, life will become extinct because 87% of the life that you see on the planet comes from this 15 to 18 inches of soil. And we have already taken away 52% of that. We can easily put it back if we commit to this. Commitment from individual people is not good enough. It is important, it must be enshrined in the policy. Why I'm insisting on the policy is, those times are over where you do something pretty in your kitchen garden, I do something pretty in my land, somebody else does something wonderful somewhere, and we fix something. That time has passed. You can fix your kitchen garden, very cute of you, but it's not a solution. Now if solution has to happen, every government on the planet, every nation on the planet has to start moving towards minimum 3% organic content by law. But today if you have 10,000 square feet of land in Dubai, they will allow you to build maybe 5, 6, 7,000 square feet. You must allow some space for yourself, your neighbor. If you overbuild, they'll come and demolish it. Yes or no? Because there is a law. But if you have 100 acres of land anywhere in the world, you can plow every inch of it, turn it into a desert in the next 10, 15 years, nobody will ask you, why have you done this? I'm asking, there must be a law. Initially by inspiration, then incentive, then disincentive, then of course punitive when time comes. But right now, incentives are most important. This is all I'm asking for. I want all of you who have many levels of competence and various levels of resource. Right now, they're telling me, some of the social media, whatever, experts, the metrics are telling us, since March 31st, over 2 billion people, 2.1 or 2.2 billion people have spoken about soil, but we want 4 billion. Will you get me those 2 billion people? So where do I find the 2 billion people? I want you to understand, this is for the very first time in the history of humanity that you have this power. You can sit at home and talk to the world. Hello? Never before was this possible. Many great beings have come. When they spoke, hardly 10 people could hear them. Yes or no? This is the first time. It doesn't matter who the hell you are, you can sit at home and talk to the entire world. When you have such power, if you do not create what you want to create in this world, it just shows we don't care enough, isn't it? Huh? It simply shows that we don't care enough. So, if we care for our lives, if we care for every other life, if we care for your children's lives and their children's lives, for future generations must exist here better than us. If we have that intent, it's time to act. UAE government has been most progressive when rest of the world is busy turning fertile lands into deserts. It's wonderful to see here deserts are being converted into fertile lands. Though the scale may not be there, though the scale may not be, not yet, but I'm talking to Madam Mariam, who's very inspired about this whole process, and she's putting herself behind this, and also COP28 is coming here. In many ways, UAE can take the leadership in this region.
The corporates have got a huge responsibility in this because they are able to influence the governments and the decision makers. While people can do that, I think that there's significant role that the corporates can play in influencing the decision makers. Apart from that, ourselves, large corporations, for example, even a small corporate like us, we have 25,000 people with their families. We are talking about 100,000 people. And those 100,000 people, if they spread the message, so as corporates, I think we should take it up uh, so that this message goes to the people who are concerned. The most important thing, I think, the actions that we take, not only regarding the environmental issues, which presently is like, the solar and things like that, the ability to go down and look at the soil and look at it, which we were not actually considered. We were always thinking about solar energy and things like that, whereas this makes it imperative for us to look down and see the soil under our feet and make sure that there is an action being taken for the soil and to how to protect that.
Sadhguru Ji is on this global mission, Save the Soil, traveling 30,000 kilometers, 27 countries in 100 days. And today, he's here in Dubai. At the Consulate General of India, Dubai, we were able to welcome him, honor him, and to listen from him. He mentioned that so far, almost 2 billion people have heard about the campaign, and the endeavor is to bring in another 2 billion people into the fold, understanding about the need for addressing this very important challenge, this environmental degradation of the soil, and how it impacts and it will impact our future. And it is very heartening to see that this thought leadership is coming from India, which has always been a source of wisdom and knowledge for the whole world. So we know UAE, as host to the largest Indian community of 3.3 million, will be an important force in making sure that Sadhguru's mission of Save the Soil, which is so important for each and every one of us, will be a huge success.